And so these criminals do earn their money in all sorts of ways. Now, I talked about it in particular about how, somebody was doing business email compromise, but this eye chart shows all sorts of ways that somebody could earn money in a threat actor world. You could be an initial access broker, meaning basically you get credentials, you trick Chris into giving you your credentials, and you sell those to somebody else. You could be somebody who is a malware writer and just writes code to be malware to deliver to a machine. You could be a ransomware operator. You could just do cryptocurrency mining. There's all these types of ways, all the things here. It doesn't matter, exactly what they do, but just like in our businesses, Chris, I'm sure you guys specialize in some verticals, right? To make sure that you can serve those really well. Threat actors are
Yeah,
doing the same thing.
For us,
Yeah.
it's wealth management, manufacturing, construction, and contracting. Those types of verticals are sweet spot for us.
And the reason you focus on that is because once you understand the software they use and their processes, you can get really efficient in serving them, right? And deliver great value.
Yep.
And the threat actors do the same thing. They're like, I'm going to get really good at initial access so I can deliver great value and get better returns on it. It is crazy. But that is what they are doing here. And the tools are as slick as a software as a service solution that, Chris, you and your team might suggest to one of your clients to use. When I was on the MSP side, we'd have some clients use like QuickBooks Online or other SaaS solutions. This is an example of a phishing as a service called the caffeine store you would go to. Think of like an Amazon where you could go in and actually select the phishing services you want. You could see in this one in particular, like they have a new version they've just released, and it will tell you how much money you have in your account. And so you can see this, and it's going to help you steal credentials. They're going to include improvements. Um, you know, we're going to make sure that you can bypass 2FA 80% of the time. Whether or not you can trust all their marketing things, well, maybe not, but like this is the kind of interfaces that they are doing. We mentioned ransomware as a specializer, right? Ransomware continues to grow. I wish I could tell you that it was going down in increments, but there are all sorts of platforms out there for these ransomware as a service. So once again, think of a QuickBooks Online or some sort of hosted EDR solution, not an EDR, a ERP solution. Um, you mentioned construction. Viewpoint was one of those solutions that my clients used, right? And there are equivalent of these for the ransomware that you can get with Lockbit. They were taken down recently, but now there's Tox. Now there's GhostLocker. And as soon as government entities take down some of these services, new ones pop up. An interesting kind of note at Huntress, we have seen so far in 2025, only about half of the instances where we've seen ransomware detonate are we able to actually tie it back to kind of one of the quote unquote known ransomware as a service affiliates, because as the government agencies take down these services, which is great, and we should continue to do them, new ones spring up that we haven't seen before. And so there is going to be an appetite for this. And then one of the other things to be aware of is that the business model for ransomware as a service has started to transform a little. And what I mean by that is the old, well, the really old business model, and dates me a lot, when ransomware first was starting and we were starting to see this, over a decade ago, right? It would be they'd ransomware one or two key machines. Now it's gotten faster. I mean, Huntress has seen instances where an operator has pivoted directly from a foothold that they had, maybe it was a third-party RMM that was compromised, to deploy ransomware in an environment in like 15 minutes. Um, and so speed matters to these. Now that's highly unusual to see them move that quick. Um, but they now obviously encrypt everything in the network, or they try to. But also, the first thing that they will actually, we're starting to see more and more pivot to, is they'll try and do data exfiltration, steal data from an organization, and try and then sell that back. Like, we won't release data. Um, and so those are ways that the threat actors are pivoting as they develop their business models through here. And they are business models. They have employee manuals. This is a screenshot of some leaked manuals and tools that came out of one of the ransomware crews that eventually were taken down. But like Chris, I don't know if you guys use any business development reps to help, drive new businesses at all, or how do you guys find?
Just me.
Just you. So how
Yep.
do you, but do you use a tool like Zoom Info to try and understand who you're going to talk to?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you have a LinkedIn, of high-end
Sales
LinkedIn account,
Navigator. Yep.
Navigator. Yep,
HubSpot. You name it.
exactly. So they're using the same kind of tools to try and understand who they are attacking, because if they can understand, the company, the revenue, well, now they can actually start to tailor their ransomware demands to it. They can understand how big of a target that is. And then they give their new employees, commands to run. Hey, when you get on this, you know, AB was the one who created this process, and now it starts to tell AB has now told them, here are some key commands to start to understand to run. It is crazy that they have, in some ways, better trained technicians than I probably even had as my level one techs at the MSPs I was at, in some ways. That they have these, so they want you to be efficient. These employees will have quotas that they're supposed to get. They'll get higher, they'll get bonuses. In this leak of employee manuals, there were also leaks of employee write-ups and reviews, like, hey, Chris, you weren't actually, ransoming enough machines, and people were put on pips for not performing to status. So it is real businesses that are driving that $16 billion in losses.